To the cost of living crisis, more people than ever are being targeted by scammers, with reports finding that Britain is the fraud capital of the world, with over 40 million people targeted so far this year.
Well, there's also been an increase in reports of a scam called number spoofing, where fraudsters change their caller ID in order to mimic the phone number of a real company.
Well, dog trainer Millie Clark wants to raise awareness about the convincing scam after she was conned out of more than £22,000. And she joins us now alongside her dog Herbie. Welcome to both of you.
Good morning.
And Herbie is here because a very important part of your life as a pet, but also because this is the nature of your work. This is what you do. You do dog training, and you do dog walking. So, had you heard of spoofing before this? So, just explain to anybody who's watching that may not have heard of it, because I think the more we say these things out loud, the better.
Yeah. So basically, I don't even know how they do it, but they can change the caller ID on your phone when they ring you, so it can come up from any number they want. So the people that rang me rang from HSBC's customer care number, which matched on the back of my bank card. And that was the bit that got me hook, line and sinker. Up till then, I was suspicious, but after that...
So it's the 8th of May 2020, and you are sent a text by, you think, O2.
Yes.
So explain what happened from there.
Yes, so O2 is my phone provider. So they said that my latest bill hadn't been processed, and could I just update my payment details? So I clicked the link and I actually looked through the whole website, and it was a fully functioning O2 website with all the kind of things you would expect to be on there. And all they asked me for was my full name, account number and sort code. And I was like, it's relatively sensitive. It's not, you know, you give that to your friends and your family to pay you and things like that. So I didn't think too much of it, filled it in, you know, I was distracted by what was going on in the world. And that was that. Didn't think anything more of it.
So then the next thing you hear is about 4 days later, you get a phone call and you believe it to be HSBC because the phone number, as you've just said, is on there. And what is it they say to you?
So he told me that somebody had tried to set up direct debits out of my account.
So let's point out, at this point, these are still the scammers?
Yes, yeah. So this wasn't real HSBC. This was the scammer posing as an HSBC person. So, yeah, they said that somebody had tried to set up 2 direct debits on my account, one for £80 and one for £40. At this point, as a self-employed person, I was down to my last £100. We didn't know at that point what government help we were going to get. And I was like, if these 2 direct debits go out, that's it. I have no more money. And I was budgeting really carefully.
And also what they did have, which makes them more convincing, is they had the phone number of your bank. They also had your card details. And, of course, this is all information that they'd collected when you fired off the text message. So it's all very clever. It's like a real process.
Yeah, so he followed the whole... He was like, hi, is this Miss Clark? Account number ending in blah, blah, blah. So that I would trust him, basically. So that first text, that phishing text, was to gain a few little bits of information that they could then use so that they looked like they were from HSBC, because how else would they know that information?
And during that 4 days, they are then setting up for real. They're setting up payments to them. What were they doing? So
they didn't actually do anything in those 4 days. That was just sort of like a cooling off period so that I would forget about the text. So it's really sophisticated. They will time everything really well. So by then, that text was well out of my head. So when they knew my account number, I didn't think, oh, I sent that to somebody, that, like, I filled that in online this morning, so it was gone.
So when were they setting up the overdrafts?
So basically they were doing that while on the first phone call. So they rang me, told me that these people were setting up direct debits, but that wasn't true. So they incited a bit of panic in me and said, we need to cancel these for you, so can I get the rest of your details? And I said, how do I know it's not you setting it up? And I actually questioned it. And he said, well, if you get the back of your bank card and look at your caller ID, you'll see I'm calling you from HSBC customer service. You know, we want to look after our customers. He was really nice to me, and he built that rapport. So that was the first phone call, but it was actually 15 minutes later, and it transpires in that first phone call, he was using the details that he was taking from me to take out a loan in my name and take out an overdraft in my name. So he then calls me back and says, you know, your account is under attack now. They've taken out an overdraft, they've taken out a loan, they've sent it to another bank account of yours. You're under attack now, you need to send this money back to a safe account. And they incited that panic, having already built that rapport with me. So I trusted them.
So how much did you put into this safe account?
The first transaction was £6,500 and the second was £3,000.
OK. So
when did you find out that this was...
Not
you
till...
were out. You were out walking walking the dogs with your grandma.
Yeah. The next day we were out for a dog walk, and I got a text from HSBC saying I was £1,900 overdrawn. And I was like, that can't be.
HSBC.
The real HSBC. And I was like, that can't be true because they sorted this all out yesterday. So I was like, oh, must be like technological error. So I rang them and said, hi, I've got a message saying I'm overdrawn, but that's not possible. You know, someone did try and take some money out yesterday, but you sorted it out. And he was like, no, we didn't call you yesterday. I've got the call log. We didn't call you yesterday. And I said, yeah, you did. You rang me twice at this time and this time. And then I think he realised, he was like, no. He said, that's what the scammers do. They ring you pretending to be us. Your money's gone.
And so I mean, bearing in mind, you know, the early stage of your business, you've just been hit by a global pandemic. Yeah. You're down to not very much cash flow in your bank anyway. Yeah. And now, you know, you've been scammed and all of your savings have gone. Yeah.
So the ironic thing is it wasn't my money, most of it, because it was taken from a loan and an overdraft. But they took the little savings I did have. But they also, at the time, he was like, do you have any other accounts with us? You know, we should check them. This was the scammer. And I said, yeah, I've got business accounts. And he's like, well, OK, let's check those. So I gave him, again, it sounds ridiculous, but I trusted him, gave him the account number and sort code, and they absolutely wiped that out. And the saddest part of that is that £500 of that had been raised by my agility club and all of my club members to continue to pay the overheads during lockdown, so that we wouldn't shut down.
So you then work with the bank. The trouble is that there are people who do sort of double crosses in things like this. So the bank have got to investigate you to make sure you're not scamming them. Yeah. So you can end up feeling a little bit like a criminal yourself.
Yeah, that's it.
And then finally it's resolved and most of the money comes back?
I got all of it back.
All of it comes back?
Yeah, I was one of the lucky ones because a lot of people don't get any money back, and I had a lot of people contact me saying that they didn't get the money back.
The thing is with that comes off the sort of bank's insurance and you know, you've got that money back, but the scammers still got the money.
Yeah, they got it. So basically they were able to prove, it was a 5-day process, guilty till proven innocent, which was the worst feeling ever. Because like you say, people will actually take the loans out and then pretend it wasn't them, and then they get the money refunded. So they get away with the money.
Well, you told your story on social media. You had a huge response to that because I think so many people are feeling the same thing. You know, the front of the Express today, Daily Mail, 40 million Brits have been targeted by scammers, 3 billion in losses every year, 700 million was lost to fraudsters. You know, you're not on your own with this. 1 in 1,000 reports of fraud resulted in a charge last year. Something has to change there.
What do you say to anyone who might now today get one of those texts? How can you... Because you look at these and think they're so clever. Yeah. How do you avoid
Ignore them all, basically. Ignore them, delete them. Any phone calls, any text messages, anybody that rings you, hang up, call them back on a different line, because they can even hold the line open. So if you ring back straight away, you can end up speaking to the scammers again. So call back on a different line. But mostly, especially with the bank stuff, they will never ring you. And that's what they've told me since. And just be aware that numbers can be spoofed. I didn't know that. That's what got me up till then. I was suspicious enough, but yeah.
Well, HSBC said protecting customers from scams is a priority for us. If someone calls you out of the blue and asks you to move money or share your account details, just hang up. We will never call and ask for personal details or full passwords, PINs or security codes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's okay.
And I think your business is going to thrive. Look how well behaved your dog is.
Oh, he's been a very good boy.
So good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.